Is it me or does it smell like updog in here? What's updog? Oh, nothing much. What's up with you? Sitcoms are notoriously hard to translate from one language to another because the humor is very often driven from puns or wordplay or figures of speech that only exist in one language and not the other. This can make some jokes difficult or even impossible to translate. Take an old corny joke in English, for example. What's a vampire's favorite fruit? A nectarine. Okay, not exactly a knee slapper, but the joke works because the English word nectarine starts with the syllable neck, which, as it turns out, is an actual word in English. And according to vampire mythology, vampires bite you on the neck to drink your blood. So of course, a vampire would enjoy biting into a nectarine. Corny joke, but at least the pun works. But try translating that joke to almost any other language, let's say French, and see what happens. Quel est le fruit préféré d'un vampire? La nectarine. Okay, at first glance, it looks like the joke survived the translation because the French word for nectarine is extremely similar to English. But the French word for the neck is le cou, which doesn't sound anything at all like neck, so the joke simply doesn't work in French. If you told that joke to a French person, they'd look at you like you're an idiot because the joke simply doesn't work. Let's try it again in German. Was ist die Lieblingsfrucht eines Vampirs? Eine Nektarine. Okay, again, at first glance, it looks like we're in luck because the Germans also use a variation of the word nectarine. But the German word for the neck is der Hals, which, just like in French, doesn't look or sound anything at all like neck. So again, the joke dies in translation. This is a common problem in sitcoms and other comedies. If you're on the translation team and you come across such an untranslatable joke, what do? The scene we just watched from The Office is one such example. The joke hinges around a made-up word updog, which doesn't actually exist. But if you can trick someone into asking, what's up, dog? It sounds like they're saying, what's up, dog, which is a friendly, informal greeting in English. So how do we translate this updog joke? Let's watch the same scene in German and find out. Irre ich mich oder riecht es hier nach los, Mann? Was ist los, Mann? Nichts. Und was ist mit dir? So the joke more or less survived the translation, but the translation team had to exercise a bit of creative license to make it work. We replaced the nonsense word updog with the nonsense word losman. It's not an actual word in German, but if you can trick someone into asking was ist los, man, it sounds like they're saying was ist los, man, which is an equivalently friendly and informal greeting in German. Translation teams often have to make difficult adjustments to English screenplays in order to convey the joke, or at least a rough equivalent of the joke. Sometimes this works passively well, like the scene we just watched. Other times, though, we come across a pun that simply has no equivalent in the target language. Let's watch a scene from a different sitcom, Community. Abed, you were by the coffin for a long time. Are you okay? I'm okay. Although, Troy and Abed are in mourning. Would you guys please stop doing that? I don't think the audience got that we were singing morning with a U. You were singing morning with a U? Oh no. A little context if you're not familiar with the show, Troy and Abed are best friends and they host a morning talk show called Troy and Abed in the Morning. And they sing that as the jingle for the show. But here, after returning from the funeral of a friend, Abed is singing Troy and Abed are in mourning, a clever pun. The joke wraps up with the reveal that Troy didn't realize that Abed was singing morning with a U. He thought they were singing something bright and happy, but Abed was actually singing something quite sad. It's a solid pun, but the joke only works because the two words in English are pronounced identically despite having very different meanings. In order to translate this joke, we'd have to hope that an equivalent homonym exists in the target language. Let's see what happens in the German translation. Abed, geht's dir gut? Du standest sehr lange an seinem Sarg. Ja, mir geht's gut. Allerdings, leider gibt es kein Morgen. Könnt ihr bitte damit aufhören? Ich denke nicht, dass irgendeiner verstanden hat, dass ich Es gibt leider kein gesungen habe. Du hast Es gibt leider kein gesungen? Oh nein. Complete translation failure. What was a clever pun in the English version has become a horrible train wreck in the German version. Troy sings Troy and Abed am Morgen, which is their jingle in German. But Abed, meanwhile, is singing Leider gibt es kein Morgen, which, apart from the syllable count, sounds nothing at all like their jingle. The joke here no longer makes sense. Troy somehow doesn't realize until this moment that Abed has been singing a completely different line all day long. So what happened here? Well, it turns out that there is no word in German that sounds like morgen and means to be in a state of mourning. The German word for mourning is die Trauer, and to describe the state of being in mourning, they would say wir sind in Trauer, or perhaps just wir trauern. You may recognize the related words traurig, meaning sad, und die Traurigkeit, the sadness, but none of these words sound anything at all like the word morgen in Troy and Abbott's jingle, so the original joke simply doesn't work here. The translation team did the best they could, but unfortunately there was just no way to salvage the joke. There are many more examples of wordplay translation successes and failures, and not just from these two sitcoms. We'll revisit this subject here and there in future episodes, but for now, the important takeaway should be that if you're trying to learn a foreign language by watching translated versions of shows that you're already familiar with in English, you should be aware that sometimes the translation teams have had to make some adjustments to the English screenplay to make it work in the other language. I notice this more with comedies, but as we'll see in future episodes, translation difficulties and failures can pop up almost anywhere. In conclusion, the Scranton Strangler was very clearly Gabe Lewis. That's all for today. We will see you next time on Learn German from TV.